Well, this morning we're going to finish up our little mini-series of a few Psalms. Next week we're going to be starting on a little bit of a journey through the Gospel of Luke. So we invite you to join us on that journey. This morning's Psalm is Psalm 100. Shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is God. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. Enter his gates with thanksgiving, his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God. Would you pray with me? God, as we look to your word, we ask that you be present with us, that you open our eyes that we might see, open our ears that we might hear. Teach us, Lord, how to enter into your presence this morning. We pray in Christ's name. Amen. A number of years ago, probably about 2004, I was a youth director in Ohio, and it was it's a town in Ohio. It's not like really well-known town. It's not a really sought-after town. It's not one that you would expect important people to come through. But one of the things, if you have lived in New Jersey your entire life, you'll know, you need to know, you should actually be thankful that you do not live in a swing state. The swing state, one of those magical 11 states in which every candidate for the presidency decides to travel and just camp out in for a year and a half. Where every commercial, you just long for the days of normal commercials. You just long for the days of anything besides mean, nasty political ads left and right. And we get a little bit of that because some of our TV stations are based across the river over in Pennsylvania. And so we understand there's a little bit of that because it's, Pennsylvania's a little bit of a swing state. But I lived in the heart of Ohio for 13 years. That's a lot of elections, my friends. Well, in 2004, George W. Bush was running again. He was our president. And he was crisscrossing his way across the state of Ohio like he was running for governor. He was there a lot. And then there was a word. There was a word that got started to spread around. President Bush is going to stop in Xenia. Really? Yeah, he's going to stop in Xenia. That was awesome. Why? Because it's a president. I don't care if you voted for him or not. I don't care if you like him or not. I don't care if you like his politics. It's a president. President with all the other cars that are in front of the president, all the other cars that are behind the president, all the guys wearing black suits and sunglasses doing this. They're all there. It's the president. So, of course, he was supposed to come around 12 o'clock. I got out there around 10, maybe 9:30, and I stood across. I stood over there, but it's now bail bonds office, but it was another office across the way, diagonally across from the town hall. And I got right on the edge. I was there. Possibly because my work schedule was at my disposal, so I was very flexible. And so I could get there. And sure enough, we're waiting. We don't know if he's going to get out. We don't know if he's going to speak. We don't know if he's going to stop. Or it's just his cavalcade's going to just ride on through. But guess what? 12 o'clock hit. He wasn't there yet. But 12:10 hit. But by about 12:30, he got there. The bus stopped. The bus looked like a huge grand version of the flag. And then the cars in front, the cars behind, and the people came out, and they had suits, and they had glasses, and they had the earpiece, and they were doing their thing. And then out came George Bush, our president. I mean, that's cool and all. He's a president. But he was in Xenia. He saw my town. He saw my Oasis Cafe. He saw my Xenia shoe, the business right across from where he was looking. But he saw him. He was there. He didn't get a chance to stop and speak, but he got out for a little bit, shook a couple hands over on that side right in front of the courthouse, did his little wave, and got back in and left. It was pretty cool. Our president was there in our presence. It reminds me of a time when I got a chance to do a mission trip. The only overseas mission trip I ever did, I went to Ghana. And I'll be honest, I had no idea why I was going. I just knew there was a trip going, and somebody needed to lead the youth that were going. And so they looked at me and said, "That's you." Oh, cool. So I show up there, I'm expecting to work projects all the time, so I don't bring any nice clothes whatsoever. We were much more of a dignitary trip. We were not doing a bunch of work. And then we found out we were having an audience with the Ashanti king. Like a real king. Like a king who's like in charge of a kingdom. Who has a palace. And who has all the everything involved. You know, everybody who got pulled in for his entourage had to drive, some of them 3-4 hours away from the outreach of the kingdom to come and represent. Why? Because there was a team of teenagers from New Jersey. Clearly, all these people have to come. So what happened was we got ready, we go there, we wait for our time, and as it's time we're outside the palace, there's like a gated area, and then we waited, and then we got invited in, and we got seated down in these chairs, and it wasn't just like we were in the courtyard, and now we got seated in the chairs, and then other people joined us in sitting. We didn't know who they all were, but a bunch of people sat, and then out came a bunch of dancers, came out drum lines, came out all sorts of I don't want to say entertainment, but it was gifts to us. It was welcome. It was showing the local culture and community in a way. It was beautiful. That went on for probably an hour. And then a few of us, our team, and a few others were ushered into the building. We got kind of sped up to date on how things were supposed to go. And see, in Ghana, we've already learned that it's a much more formal culture than we are. There's a formal way to do greeting. So even if we're good friends, you come over to the house, there's a proper way that I greet you, that I welcome you. There's a proper way that you greet us. There's a way that you go around the room and greet every person. And no matter how little or small, how important or not, how old, you go and you greet everyone a certain way. You sit down, you offer water, you offer a beverage, and then you ask, what's the news? Why are you here? What word do you have? And once this whole process is finally done and completed, then everybody can just kind of get back and relax. If that's how they are in normal relationships, you can imagine how much pomp and how much formality, how much protocol there was when I actually entered in before the king. I wish I'd been warned that I was going to meet the king. I would have dressed better. I wish I'd been warned that I was going to be not just meeting a king, but representing our group before the king. As we were seated in the king's court, there was a square courtroom, and the king was sitting on his chair. His wife was sitting there. His nephew was sitting. His nephew was wearing the royal garments, the tribal garments, but he was texting underneath it. That was funny. But he really did not want to be there. But standing behind the king were his mouthpieces. These 3 old men, these tribal elders. You see, the king was supposed to speak to us through them. We speak to them, they tell the king. The king tells them, and then they talk to us. That's how the interaction was supposed to go. And so it did go through that when I knew that all of a sudden our leader, who I thought was our leader, sent word down, you're going to introduce the group. Thanks for the warning. So I was all of a sudden scouting it out, thinking, okay, he's probably going to have me stand up. He's probably going to have me come to the edge of the carpet, but not on it. I got nervous. I got anxious. I didn't know the protocol. How do you enter into the presence of a king? And so he's like, it's time. So I kind of stood up in my chair, and I was like, could you come forward? Yeah, okay. So then I came forward, and I did the thing, and the thing was done, and it was great. Well, it happened. And then, you're not going to believe what happened. The king stopped talking through his interpreters and said, greetings, my fellow New Jersey, because he went to college in North Jersey. And because of that, and so the funny thing was, we're really stiff and we don't know what's going on because we're now in the presence of a king. We're like, did they elect you? We're not really sure. Like, how long can we vote you out before? We didn't know how this worked. But now all of a sudden, everybody in there who knew how it worked, we didn't know how it worked because the king was just talking to teenagers from Jersey. Remembering his days, he's like, I'm going to be out there in November. Perhaps I can come and worship at your church because my pastor is celebrating 40 years at his Baptist church up in the Newark area, and it didn't work out because the logistics were just too far. But he was offering to come and worship at our church in South Jersey. He was talking to us, and he was starting to tell us everything about his kingdom. Everything that they're doing, all the educational initiatives, all the construction, all the things that they're doing to better the country. He was so excited, and he wanted to tell us why. Because, well, we were one of them. He was one of us. Jersey pride. right? So the fact is, there's protocols on how you enter a king. Enter the presence of a king. And here we have in Psalm 100, shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. I think about that with the fact that we sing. I've heard about a church up in New York City where everybody likes to go hear the famous pastor, but people will just wait outside and wait because he doesn't preach every service. They just try to wait for which service is the one he's preaching at, and then the hordes rush in from outside. They put down their coffee and run in. It's almost like they don't believe that the singing and the liturgy is actually the worship. It's almost like it's the warm-up. It's like it's the opening band to the real reason why you're there, the sermon. I sit in churches sometimes, I sit in communities, and I see that about a third. Now, this is not indicative of you this morning or you as a church, but there's times where it seems apparently singing together is not part of our culture anymore. What used to be a bedrock of human life and families and communities together, of singing together and songs together, and the folk songs that made up your communal identity. The fact that in homes, somebody knew how to play something so that you could have sing-along times. But I bet if you said at Thanksgiving dinner this year, hey guys, let's sing some songs, people might get awkward. Shoot, at my Thanksgiving once, I asked our family and extended family to just go around the room and offer something they were thankful for. They looked at me, and with all the loudness that silence can bring, it was no. Imagine then if I say, well, let's sing a song together. I'm going to be bouncing back and forth from our normal translation of this passage, which is a translation of the passage, to a paraphrase of the passage from Eugene Peterson, because I just love Eugene Peterson, and I just can't help it. But I like some of the ways he articulates some things to bring out some ideas. So he says, instead of shout for joy to the Lord, which sounds very formal church, he says, on your feet now, applaud God. Bring a gift of laughter. Listen to this. Sing yourselves into his presence. That makes sense to me. You see, there's something about praising God. So there's something about song and music. And when we gather together, see, often we think about praise as just and worship as something that we do in an event, in a place, in a location, in church, or something like that. But we also know that worship is a whole lifestyle. It's a whole life activity. That in the depths of our work on Wednesday morning, we are still quite capable of worshiping through whatever your vocation is. Students, as you start school on Wednesday, you are quite capable of worshiping as you attend class, as you study, as you care for your classmates and reach out to those around you. Parents, as you make lunches, we are quite aware that that is a way that you can worship as you're making lunches for kids, as you're folding laundry, as you're mowing your lawns. We can find a way to make every vocation, every part of life worship. There's not a single square inch of this earth in which Jesus does not cry out, mine, as Kuiper said. But there is something about singing yourself into his presence. There is something about it when we gather and we sing. And the only reason why I know this is because, yes, in our culture we've commodified music, we've commodified performance, and we've made it something that we are consumers of or passive. We listen to, we put on the radio, we watch the TV, we go to the concert, but we don't do it ourselves, except in certain places. Church is one of those, where we gather together and we help understand and form our identities by singing together. And one of the places that I know that this happens, because yes, at church we do this, but sometimes we kind of feel disconnected from that, and we don't know why we're doing this. Sometimes we don't understand why we're, especially I think about someone who wasn't raised in church. What is worship? That's so weird. Why are we singing songs to some guy I don't know? Especially songs that seem like love songs. It's just different. It's weird. And then I go to a Phillies game. It makes sense. You see, I go to the Phillies game where we watch them destroy the Mets, which is good. And then there's people up above me. And you know what they do? They start singing. at the Phillies games. Fly, Eagles, fly. Because that's the true religion in Philadelphia. Eagles. And so there they are, this band of community, and then it spread. A couple drunk guys, fly, Eagles, fly, and they started it, and then it immediately spread. And so you know what I did? I joined them. Every time. Probably 7 times throughout a baseball game, we sang a football song. And I think about over in England, the people who are going to these soccer matches, and they're literally quarantined up, maybe for their own safety. That's a story that's not what we really want in the church, where you have to have a section so you're safe from the other sections. Yeah, so don't take that part. But the reality is you have like the away section, because those people are together. They are a close-knit group. They are participants in helping their team win because they are loud, they are raucous, they have songs, they are singing songs to support their players and to tear down their enemies and to talk about the guy over there. And they just make up their songs, and they have ones they know, and they sing it in unison. It's almost as if, like, if you can think of that last time that you were in a public place and all of a sudden Journey came on, and then all of a sudden everybody just starts singing it because they can't help themselves, or Bon Jovi. It just happens. It's a Jersey thing. If you're not from Jersey, you'll hear it soon. But there is something about the esprit de corps when we know the songs that represent us, that are meaningful to us, that talk about our loves. Get around some Irish and sing "Oh Danny Boy." You'll see. Get around the church and sing about better is one day. One day with God. Now, the thing is, we can come in and we can do this routine day after day, week after week, and we can lose sight of its power. We can lose sight of the majesty. We can lose sight of the fact that the president has come in our midst, that we're entering into the King of the universe. Sing yourselves into his presence. Know this: God is God. God is God. Yahweh, or Adonai, is Elohim. You got to remember, we're in a place where if we even believe that there is a God, if we are atheists, we only believe that there is one God, and that all other gods are false and empty shells of religion. And well, I honestly think that to be true. And our other option isn't really like a multitude of gods. And there are cultures in our world that do still hold on to a pantheon of gods, but that's not our world, and that's not the Judeo-Christian world. And so we just kind of always think of either there's God or there's not. But you got to remember that most of the Old Testament was written in a place where it was our God versus your God. It's like the little kid saying, "My dad can beat up your dad," but in deity form. And so he says Yahweh, Adonai. Adonai is greater than Elohim. Adonai is Elohim. God is God. It's he who made us. And if you think about that in the tribal way, it's not only that our God is the real God, our God is the real God that's greater than your God. Our God is the one who made us. Our God is the one who made you. Our God is the one who made everything. Our God is great. Know this. Know that it's he who made us. He's the creator of all the world. But not only that, that's who God is, but know who we are. We are his people. Imagine waking up and discovering that this world is a world that's created, known, loved, designed, cared for, nurtured. Imagine knowing that there's a God who actually cared about his constituents, his creation, enough to visit Xenia, to visit Hopewell, Hamilton, Lawrence, Cherry Hill. Imagine a God who's able to come down and be one of us, understand what it means to hunger, to have blisters, to get sick, to see a friend die, to be betrayed by a friend. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pasture. He made us, we didn't make him. We are his people, his well-tended sheep. So enter his gates with thanksgiving. Now, I'm not sure it's funny, because right after we're talking about we're the sheep of his pasture, I'm not sure if it's talking about those gates in which God provides us a safety and home and a place to be inside the pen and the gates, or if it's the gates of the temple. I'm imagining it's one of the gates of the temple, that we enter into his gates in the same way that we initially entered into the palace, into the outer rings, and we were invited in. And there were people that were hearing the drums, they were hearing the dance, they were hearing the singing, but they were not invited in. So what an honor it is to be in the presence, to be through the gates. As Peterson put it, enter with the password, thank you. Make yourselves at home, talking praise, thanking him, worshiping him. Enter his gates with thanksgiving. Enter his courts with praise. Give him thanks and praise his name. Why? Because he's the king who deserves it. He's the king who demands it, because not like a tyrant saying, you need to praise me. But he demands it just with his awesomeness. He demands it with his love. He demands it with his presence. He demands it with that sheer awe-inspiring, God is good because he is God. For the Lord is good. His love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. For God is sheer beauty. Friends, that is our task. That is our challenge. To be a thankful people. You see, if we can sing ourselves into his presence, if we can remember who God is, the Creator, the one who knows and is over all things and through whom all things are held together, and yet the God who knows you and me by name. He's the God who knows the anxieties you're facing about going back to class or going to a new school. He's the God who knows that you are just really worn out with your job and your job search. He's the one who knows that you are high in the sky and just young and optimistic, and that there's going to be some hard days ahead that you're not ready for. He's the God who knows how you doubt and sometimes wonder, are you there when you read the paper or that email from a friend? He's there. He's present. Why? Because he's loyal and always faithful. Because his love endures through trials, through failures, through sin, through shame, through betrayal. Because the Lord is good and is sheer beauty. And we know this by being a thankful people. I will be honest, it's harder to be aware of God's beauty when we are not aware of what we are to be thankful for. I want to let you know that a mark of being a Christian, a mark of being a person who has been encountered God in a real way is thankfulness. A mark of walking with God is thankfulness. And I will tell you that there is no spiritual gift of cynicism or curmudgeonliness or just flat out grumpiness. There's no one who says like, wow, you know, I've been hoping to add a new friend, and I'm looking for the grumpiest person I know. Right? Nobody's like, oh, they're just kind of filled with poison with everything they say. Let's have them over for dinner. Right? It's hard to see God at work. It's hard to see God's goodness if all we do is look for the problems that are there. Let's not be blind optimists and not realistic, but I think something else happens when we are not thankful, but we are complainers. Not only do we become unsavory people that are difficult to be around, but to the extent that we are cynical and critical, we lose sight of the fact that God is and that God is present. It betrays the idea that God is actually present and able and acting. The more we complain, the more we're cynical. Right? Because if we're being cynical, we're saying there is no hope. This is all is lost. This is wrong. We're saying God isn't. And God is incapable. And God is absent. And you may feel that way. And that's okay. Go to God. Bare your heart to Him. Share that with Him. There's plenty of songs that will teach you how if you need language. But I want to challenge you, my friends. Let us be a people who can offer thanks. Let us be a people who are aware of the good around us. Let us not be the teenager who says nothing is good around me. Let us at least be able to see the world in which we live, the advantages that we have, the ease with which we live, that we've not had to harvest any food by necessity. We have not had to go and get buckets of water by necessity. We have not had to boil our water so that we might drink it. We have not had to drink the Delaware. Thank you. Yeah. I've not had to shoot one of those deer that almost get run over in front of my house so that I might feed my family. There's a lot to be thankful for, even on those minimalist levels. So, friends, I encourage you. Thankfulness is not something that just is a light you turn on and now you're just a thankful person. It's a skill. It's a discipline. It's a practice that has to be honed. But I, friends, encourage you. Be the Corny family. What are you thankful for today? Do it. Yeah. Let us be the Corny church that asks, what are you thankful for? So that we might enter into God's presence. So that as we enter his gates with thanksgiving, we might enter and see God. Sometimes to the extent that we wonder where is God, we might want to start with remembering where is God. Where has he been? Let's name them. Let's count them. Let's make them known. Let's shout them for joy to all the earth. Because God, because Adonai is the Lord. He's the true God who made us, who loves us, who's faithful to us, and will always be here for us. Amen? Would you pray with me? Father, I do ask that you forgive us for our grumblings. I do ask that you give us the courage to be corny, to be awkward, to begin a process of becoming thankful people. I pray, Lord, that it become infectious, that it'll become something that we crave. It's just to stop again and encourage one another with being able to praise you for what you've done publicly and tell them how you were with us, how you opened the door, how you comforted us, how you were present with us, how you shared, how you answered a prayer. Lord, let us truly be followers. Let us truly be your sons and daughters. Let us give you the praise that you are worthy because you are the King. Let us enter your gates with thanksgiving and praise. We ask this, knowing that we struggle to do. We ask that you be with us and help us to be a thankful people. We pray this in Christ's name. Amen.